Your ex is trying to spin the block, huh? What I mean by spinning the block is some of y'all don't know what I'm talking about. Your ex is hitting you up again. Your ex is texting you again, DMing you again, inviting you out to something, telling you that his mama been thinking about you, reminding you that he's just praying for you, and something to do with, you told him that this was coming up or it's your birthday, and he knows you always think about this on your birthday, so he just wanted to let you know that he was thinking of it too. Whatever the case may be, your ex is hitting you up, right? But coincidentally, you've moved on. Yeah, at least you began dating again. Maybe you're not in an exclusive relationship, or maybe you are in an exclusive relationship. Things ain't going right. Maybe you might be breaking up soon. So for whatever reason, you're allowing this text to come through, this call to come through. Maybe you and your ex didn't have such a big fallout where you can never ever talk to him again. But he's hitting you up, yet you've already moved on. You've already moved on with your life. It's important to know where he's coming from before you open your ears to that ex. Now, I say this because I was on the live chat with one of my Self-Crown VIP members who is asking because she's honestly just having a weak moment. She's having a weak moment. Yeah, she's dating a guy, but there's something about the familiar that's still pulling on her, and her ex, now that she's starting to post that she's going on dates, now that she's starting to post that she's outside, her ex is spinning the block, wants to know how she's doing, checking on her, all these little things that he knows pulls on her heartstring. And I told her, look, I'm not going to tell you that just because he's an ex means that you never ever talk to him again. Of course, if he did you so bad, just complete deal breaker level stuff, it absolutely makes sense for you to protect your heart from going through that again. But let's be real. Sometimes you and a person just are not meant for each other in that season. And therefore, once the emotional dust settles, you start opening up to the thought of maybe we can give this another run now that we're in a different headspace. But do understand what's going on in your ex's mind, because when a man sees that you've moved on, the first thing that he's going to do, he's going to evaluate who you've moved on to. And if he feels like, hey, he ain't as good as me. He's missing this. I know every time she got a ring, a bracelet, a gift or something like that, she posted. She ain't been posting nothing lately, but she's with this dude. He clearly ain't got the money I got or whatever. What's going through his mind is how he can one up this guy. How can he be the upgrade? You downgraded. How can he remind you that you downgraded? He knows what you like. So whenever your ex is coming back to you, you got to be very careful that he's not coming in just to compete with what you found now. Because that's not a matter of his heart or being remorseful or any type of changed behavior. If he messed up things in the past, that's a matter of him feeling like another man is encroaching on his territory. Him just wanting his object back to repossess it all over again. That's all that it comes down to. It's more about him competing with the new guy that you found, as opposed to him saying, let me compete against my old self that lost this woman and put myself back in position and now treat her right and be with her. So be very mindful. If you're going to hear out whatever your ex is talking about, again, you have to consider the context. What is the lens that he's looking through? Another thing that your ex is thinking whenever he sees that you've moved on. Again, this ain't the ex. Side note. Every ex ain't watching you or whatever. There are some guys, whenever y'all break up, they ain't thinking about you. But if a man is hitting you up, he ain't moved on. And when your ex is not moved on and you've already moved on, he's going to be evaluating this new man. And another thing that he's going to look at is, what's the potential that this man is messing up right now? What's the potential, especially if the ex is the one that sabotaged the relationship with you? He's going to be like, oh, I wonder if he's messing up too. So he's going to be looking at that man's likes and that man's follows on Instagram. He's going to be asking around if y'all stay in a small little city or y'all in a similar network or community or something like that. Y'all at the gym together. He's going to be asking around looking for dirt. Now, why would he do something like that? Because if he can get your ear back open to him, he can start planting those seeds. And once he starts planting those seeds, especially if he knows that you're going to investigate, he can lead you to the water. Now, you may say, well, that's not such a bad thing. But if that's the strength of him coming back into your life, is basically pick your poison. I did you wrong. He's doing you wrong. It's still poison. So again, be very mindful. Be very mindful. Another thing that your ex is thinking whenever he sees that you moved on is, let me see if she was already on him at the time that we were together. Because maybe this guy is an upgrade. Maybe the guy that you got now, he's more thoughtful, loving, compassionate. He's more mature. He has better money, whatever. He looks better, whatever the case may be. maybe he is an upgrade. Maybe he's not doing anything wrong. But is it possible that y'all had a budding romance in the time that you and him were together, so now he can make you the bad guy? And if he can make you the bad guy, he won't feel as bad about losing you. Or he can try and sabotage your relationship with him, have everybody hate. Because sometimes if a person can't take your blessing, they try to take the way that people look at you and your blessing. If a person can't make you fail, sometimes they just try to take away the love that you get for winning, especially if it's without them. So something that your ex is going to look for, he's going to look deep into them comments. Again, a lot of this evaluation is online because that's the only access that he probably has to you before he can get a text message or something like that. Now, if he doesn't have Instagram access or whatever, of course, he's going to look for friends of yours, common friends. He's going to look to just, hey, I just want to be friends with you. That way he can kind of hover around and wait for that time where you're vulnerable to kind of share. He can act like he's so cool about you and your new relationship. You deserve it. He ain't tripping. But really what he's looking for is that one weak spot, that one vulnerability that he can play on, or at least be in position whenever you do feel like, man, you know, this new situation ain't so easy. The grass ain't all the way greener on this side. So your ex is going to be looking for, let me see if she really was the problem. Let me see if I can feel more validated in not being with her anymore. And then lastly, what your ex is going to be looking to do is make you feel how he's feeling. That's something that's on your ex's mind. He sees that you've moved on. Whatever he experiences with that, if it's jealousy, if it's sadness, if it's anger, he's going to do something to try and get you to mirror how he feels. Why? Because misery loves company. He ain't truly happy for you. Why would he be sitting here checking up on you and stalking you or lurking on your Instagram story, your Facebook, your whatever? Why would he be doing that? No, misery loves company though. So if he feels jealous, you know what he's gonna do? Start popping out with somebody else. If he feels angry, he's gonna do stuff to make you angry, talk bad about you. If he feels like he wants another shot, then he's gonna start preparing all the lovey-dovey, love bombing stuff so that you can feel the same way. Because ain't nobody else gonna feel him. He can run through 100 chicks that ain't gonna replace the void left by that one real one that he lost. And while we on that subject, let me put y'all on game real quick. A lot of times when the guy comes back, it ain't because he loves you. It's because he can't handle loss. Why can't a man handle loss? Because abandonment wounds. Unfortunately, little boys and their emotions are not really honored the way that they should be. So you have a lot of grown men today that are still that little boy that got abandoned, but was in a world where he couldn't express it. He couldn't feel safe for somebody else to see that he felt abandoned. And unfortunately, we grow up with those wounds and they permeate into relationships in the form of not being able to handle rejection in a relationship, not being able to handle conflict in a relationship. Why? Because we fear that we're going to be abandoned all over again. And then right after the relationship, when a guy has not healed his abandonment wounds, this is what it looks like. This is what your ex is going to do. It's going to look like emphatic, sensational, really emotional apologies just for you to run into the exact same thing over and over again. I know some of y'all are saying, well, that means he's a narcissist. Maybe. But at the end of the day, it comes down to his abandonment wound. And now let me also tell you how this plays out. You get back with that man who has an unhealed abandonment wound. The moment that you say, hey, you know what? This right here that you're doing, not sitting well with me, not making me feel comfortable and safe in this relationship. And instead of honoring what you said, instead of holding space for what you just brought to his attention about how he can love you better, he personalizes it. Now, why does he personalize it? Because the abandonment wound will override any logic. The reality of the situation, the abandonment wound will override it. Put him in survival mode. And what do you do in survival mode? You fight or flight or freeze. And a lot of times a man will fight. Fight in the form of deflecting back onto you, arguing with you, criticizing you. Flight in the form of withdrawing. Maybe even finding some type of supplementation for you. Let me go and get to this safety net of women, of drugs, of whatever. So whenever you're dealing with a man and every time you try to tell him, hey, this is something, what happens in his mind is she's going to leave me. She's going to abandon me. It reiterates a narrative that came from way before you, back in his childhood, that he's bound to be left. The moment there's any flaw or anything wrong, that means the person is getting ready to leave. That is not necessarily a bad guy, but that is an unhealthy adult incapable of being in a healthy relationship because he can't have healthy conflict resolution. And that's in the relationship. And then whenever you leave him, because he chose from that abandonment wound, he just had you filling that void, it really feels like life or death to him. Because now that abandonment wound really got opened up. And so you'll have all of these ways and all of these things after the fact where he can't leave you alone. And I'm not saying any of this is okay. I just want to put it in context for you so you know what you're dealing with before you let that man back in your life. Because if he's going to come back in your life, the least you can do is make sure there's changed behavior, a true change of heart, not just a change of his act or his facade that he's using to get back in and do the exact same thing all over again. But what happens is whenever you leave him, he goes into that fight or flight mode, and anything it takes in order to soothe that abandonment wound, instead of healing it, anything it takes, any apology, any strategy he can use to get you back in, he'll do it. And then you run into the exact same problem over and over again until now you got abandonment wounds. Now your central nervous system has experienced such a roller coaster, it don't even know how to feel safe. Even if you were to move on for good into a new relationship and actually be in a safe situation. Some of y'all have had that. You've had a man come along, try to love you, and it scared the hell out of you because you were so used to being mistreated for so long. And this is why I don't make the distinguishment between good and bad men. It's not about good or bad. You have some good but broken men out there. You have some good but unhealed men out there. You have some good men with bad habits or bad decision making. So the experience with this good man is only going to be damaging. Even if he, like, just the same as if he had bad intentions for you. And this is why I did the masterclass, Secrets to Making Evolved Men Crave You. Good men may want you, bad men may want you, but only an evolved man can truly love you properly. And if you missed that masterclass, I put the link right down here in the comments. So if you missed it, click that link, register right now while it's still free and while it's still up before it comes down, and get access to it. Secrets to Making Evolved Men Crave You. Men who have at least done the work to either heal or be self-aware enough to know what boundaries need to be in place as they continue their healing journey while they're dating and in a relationship so they don't bleed onto you. That's what's necessary in order to protect your heart. Not a good man, but an evolved man. But back to what I was saying, whenever your ex comes back begging, trying to spin the block, you know, hey, I got this nonprofit thing. I know you always had a heart for the community and, you know, we can do this thing together and Bonnie and Clyde it and build an empire or whatever he coming back with. Consider the context. Not the context of the circumstances, but the context of his character. What is he really thinking? What is he really feeling? What has he really been up to before you even listen to what he actually has to say? Because if you don't truly read between the lines to understand what it is that he has to say, he's going to communicate with his actions that he was never right for you in the beginning. But those are just my thoughts. I'm just your internet brother trying to look out. Y'all let me know what you think down in the comments and share this right now if you got anything helpful from it so you can help somebody else. And if you're in the market for an evolved man, click that link that you see pinned right here. Click that link, go ahead and register, get access to the Secrets to Making Evolved Men Crave You. That's a free masterclass. You ain't gotta pay me nothing, but for over an hour, I went in on how to make evolved men crave you. It's also in the caption whenever you back out. Holla